The problem that I'm seeing right now in humanity is an unwillingness to take personal responsibility and self-accountability and to stay in your fucking lane, honestly. Just because you don't agree or like something that somebody else does or somebody else's belief or somebody else's moral compass does not give you the right to tear them down. It does not give you the right to get your entire community or all your friends to gang up on them and go after their livelihood or their business. And yet we do it. And we always will do it. This is Leah Steele, aka The Wealth Witch, and this is my podcast. I'm here to activate you to remembrance of your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life. This podcast is for people ready to have controversial conversations about the financial control, manipulation, and tyranny that faces humanity today. I'm gonna live in freedom. I'm gonna live my destiny. I'm gonna live my freedom. I'm gonna live, the time is right now. The Wealth Witch. It's for the people who are ready to wake up, deconstruct their wealth programming, and free themselves from the financial slavery consciousness that serves the global financial agenda. I'm committed to realizing a new global wealth paradigm where economic freedom is the reality and where you get to design and live the life of your dreams. Now let's do the damn thing. Yeah, so I think I'm going to begin this by just saying that when things happen on the global stage, particularly in America, I tend to take a backseat and just enter into a state of observation for a while and see what happens in the collective and see what the collective is going to do. With the overturning of Roe versus Wade, obviously, not just America, but the entire world is in an uproar about what this means or what this doesn't mean for women in America and in the United States of America in particular. And from my perspective, there's a lot. It is such a complex conversation that one live stream, cannot do justice when it comes to my opinion about abortion just in general. So I'm actually not going to talk about that on this live stream. I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about, or in this podcast, because you may be listening to this on the Wealth Witch podcast as well. But what I am going to talk about is making statements based on informed opinions versus flying off the handle when you read something in a newspaper or in a publication or on the internet, or you hear someone speaking on the news or in the media, or you see some people or, entire communities of people speaking out about something on Facebook. It is very, very easy, and it is human nature to get caught up in the quest to defend that which we see as unjust. And it's, on one hand, it gives me hope for humanity, because on one hand, it shows me that, we haven't all forgotten that we're connected. We haven't, forgotten how important it is to take care of those less fortunate than us and to, make sure that people aren't being left behind. But the other part of that and the other side of that coin is that humanity and life on this planet always has been and always will be survival of the fittest.
And what we see right now playing out on the global stage in all areas, we could be talking about the vaccine. We could be talking about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. We could be talking about what's happening in, our financial markets. All of it is us seeing survival of the fittest play out and seeing this group of people that control the global narrative, control and manipulate the collective. I saw this super hilarious reel on Instagram where this woman was like, you don't have to be on acid to see that this is all control and manipulation. And this is where my frustration with humanity lies. It's this inability to take self-responsibility and accountability for doing the research, educating ourselves, and then forming informed opinions versus reading one thing or reading several things, forming an opinion that is not based on fact or knowledge or information, and then sharing that opinion on our platform or with our audience. This is the thing that I think is very, very dangerous right now in the United States, certainly, but globally. And, in relation to this Roe versus Wade thing, I have seen more misinformation spread across the internet in the last week than I have in a long, long time. And one of the things that I'm seeing frequently is women who have platforms that live in countries outside of the United States, in an attempt to show solidarity, coming out and making very bold statements about what the law in the United States is, when it's very, very clear to me that they have, one, not researched that law, don't know what Roe versus Wade entails, don't have the history or the information on how that law came about, or know the implications of Roe versus Wade being overturned and what that means for women's reproductive rights and options, especially when it comes to medical issues in the United States. And then I get frustrated because I see people further inflaming what was designed to be a division tactic in the first place. Because the truth of the matter is that the powers that be, the people that are controlling the global narrative, they don't care whether you have an abortion or not. They don't care if you're pro-life, and they don't care if you're pro-choice. They are pro-manipulation. They are pro-control. They are pro getting you as emotionally charged as possible, because when you are emotionally charged, you are easier to control and manipulate. So it's interesting. I've been talking with my team over the last week about whether or not I was going to do this live stream and about whether or not I was going to come and talk about this, because I feel that I've just recently had my shadow ban lifted on Facebook. And I was like, oh, great. If I go out and talk about this stuff, you know what's coming. People are going to get inflamed. People are going to get upset. And then I'm going to get shadow banned. And I'm likely going to say something that Facebook or Instagram doesn't like, because that seems to be all I ever do, is say something that Facebook and Instagram doesn't like. And I had kind of decided that I was just going to record a podcast at some point when it felt right about my views on this, and then share it over that platform, which I'm obviously doing right now. I am doing a live stream on Facebook, and I'm also recording a podcast. But today something happened that made me decide to come and do this podcast and this live stream. And while it's unrelated, it is the same behavior. It is this idea that it is our responsibility to cancel other people, and that if other people's opinions or beliefs or the way that they operate their businesses or the way that they conduct their personal lives does not agree with our morality or our values, that person is wrong and deserves to be canceled, deserves to be taken down, deserves to be shamed and shunned. And just that when we see something that we don't like, that doesn't agree with our personal morals or values or our opinions, that we should make it known that that person is wrong. It is the same thing that we have seen. And I use America because I'm American and I grew up in the United States of America. And so it's an easy reference for me to make. But, if you live in other parts of the world, you will be able to relate this to things that happen in your parts of the world and in your communities, because it happens all over the world, right? But we have seen this same thing happen with Black Lives Matter. We have seen this same thing happen with the LGBTQ cause. We have seen this same thing happen, and has happened for generations and generations and generations, between Republicans and Democrats. There are social issues that, yes, are issues, right? We have social issues, social justice issues that are important. But social justice issues and issues that are dear to people's hearts and trigger an emotional response in them are being used to control and manipulate us. They are being used to divide us. And many of these things are being orchestrated to create that division amongst us. One of the things that's become increasingly popular in the last several years is cancel culture. Oh, and I forgot the main one, the pandemic, right? I forgot about the pandemic when I just went through all my explanations. So vaxxed versus unvaxxed, right? Cancel culture. If you don't think the way I do, I'm going to get everyone in my community on the bandwagon to cancel you. If you've done something I perceive is wrong, then I'm going to shout it from the rooftops and I'm going to get people to take you down because what you're doing is harmful and dangerous. Have you noticed that basically everything has become harmful and dangerous? Is it just me, or have you noticed that? This is where we are falling apart at the seams as a collective. This is the current doom and gloom that actually faces humanity. Is this need to engage in this very, very old tribal behavior of kicking each other out of the tribe because we don't like something that somebody says, or we don't agree with something that somebody says, or it goes against our morals or our values or how we live and or operate in our life. And I want to bring it back to survival of the fittest again, because it has been, was, and always will be about survival of the fittest. And so that very intrinsic nature that we have to tear others down so that we can succeed is part of our nature. And it always will be part of our nature. To the strongest and the fittest survive. The problem that I'm seeing right now in humanity is an unwillingness to take personal responsibility and self-accountability and to stay in your fucking lane, honestly. Just because you don't agree or like something that somebody else does or somebody else's belief or somebody else's moral compass does not give you the right to tear them down. It does not give you the right to get your entire community or all your friends to gang up on them and go after their livelihood or their business. And yet we do it. And we always will do it. And so this live stream is a bit of an oxymoron because, I'm saying that I think that cancel culture has gone way too far. I'm saying that the issues that we have in our communities right now, and the reason why, particularly in America, we've gone from superpower to ridiculed globally, is that we have allowed our governments, our institutions, our organizations, our governing bodies, our regulatory bodies to dictate to us what we can and can't do. We have surrendered our sovereignty. So I'm going to tell you now why I decided to do this live stream. And it is because I posted in my Telegram chat, my private Telegram chat actually today, that the Leah Steele brand was hiring content cultivators. And the ad placement that I put in there said that we were hiring content cultivators at a rate of $10 per hour, and that those content cultivators would watch and listen to my content and timestamp it. So this is a role inside my business that previously we've had, all kinds of people have done, but previously we've had interns do, we've had apprentices do, we've had agreements like this one in the past. And, most recently my partner's been doing this for me actually, but we decided that it wasn't a good use of any of those people's time. And so I decided to put this advertisement out. And so to understand what this entails, it's listening to and watching my content and pulling out things that are relative for content repurposing. Now, I could hire an agency to do this, which many people in the online space do. I could hire an agency to do this. Typically, those agencies are in the Philippines, and I would pay significantly less than what I'm planning on paying this person that takes this role to not only watch my content, but to actually do all of the repurposing, which is not what this role is about. This role is about simply watching the content and then picking out the timestamps of the content that's powerful or relevant to be repurposed across multiple channels and platforms. This person gets access to my content that my mid to high level clients pay thousands of dollars for. So there is in and of itself a huge value in having access to this content and being able to learn from, grow from, expand from the information that they're watching. And so we call it an earn and learn opportunity. So this has pissed some people off in my community, apparently. And I don't know for sure how many people in my community, but it pissed off one woman in particular who claims that she's received several messages from previous clients of mine. And, she made a comment and put up a post and says that many people have inboxed her saying that they are so grateful and thankful that she said something. But what happened was my director of operations posted this ad on her Facebook, and somebody came on and posted, another content creator and who I think lives in Australia. I don't actually know her. So I think she lives in Australia. She came in and she commented and was commenting about how harmful this was and how upsetting and disappointing it was that the wealth witch would be exploiting people to do this task. And I find it so interesting because for somebody who has no idea what happens inside my business, has no idea, the number of people that I employ, globally, the number of people that I provide jobs to, the number of people that, those people in turn provide jobs to. And also has no idea of the causes that I support and, how the inner workings of the Leah Steele brand goes, looks at one Facebook post and comes to a conclusion that they feel is right. It's right in their mind, right? And so then they come out and they attack me, but they don't attack me directly. They attack me on my business manager's page in her comments, to which she responds. And then, then they respond and it becomes this whole long drawn out Facebook argument, that as human beings, we are so likely to get caught up in, right? Because we want to prove our point and we want to be right. And, from my business manager's perspective, she sees all the inside inner workings of my business. So she knows how people are paid and she knows how we value our employees. And she's like, yeah, well, that's, it's not accurate. And this is actually what got me to come and record this and do this, because it is an everyday example of how people make decisions and form opinions and then share those opinions with the world. And those decisions and opinions are not based on they're not informed opinions. This is what I believe the detriment of today's society is right now, because of social media, everyone has a platform. Because of social media, misinformation spreads like wildfire. Because of social media, people don't feel that they need to actually take the time to research things to back up their opinions. And, truthfully, do I care if anyone in my community is offended by the fact that I posted an offer for somebody to come work for me, get paid, and receive a trade worth tens of thousands of dollars? No, I don't. I actually really don't care. Because if you are part of my community and you have worked with me in any of my programs, you know the type of value that I provide. And so other people's opinions of me, they're actually none of my business. And if you don't know me well enough to be forming an uninformed opinion and be out on the internet bashing me, then that's your business. And it doesn't matter to me. And it doesn't affect my life in any way. It was funny because I responded back to this woman. And so instead of posting on her wall or putting something on my Facebook, I actually sent her a direct message. And in that direct message, I said, I'm reaching out to you because I'm fairly disappointed that, you would be making these defamatory comments when you don't know what happens inside my company. Exactly what I just said, right? And then I explained, that we wanted to offer a paid position. We decided we wanted to offer a paid position. And I just said, the thing that I talk about all the time, which is it is very disappointing to see women continually trying to tear each other down for whatever reason, whatever personal emotional response that people have to something that they see or hear and then feel the need to go out and attack another woman. Like this to me is the really upsetting and unsettling thing. And I do want to say here that I think it's interesting because her point that she kept coming back to was, you're the wealth witch and what you're doing is harmful. And so, I responded to her and said, look, I've had dozens of applications for this role already because there are so many women in my community that are paying me for this content, that are stay-at-home moms, that aren't currently working, that are like, wow, this is an incredible opportunity for me to save money on investments that I would plan to make with you otherwise, be able to have a job or a position that suits my current situation and scenario and be making money at the same time, learning stuff that I, already have been learning from you. And so I explained some of that in my message to her, and her response was that, she defended her actions by saying that, several people had reached out to her and thanked her for her post, and for saying something, and that one of my previous clients had sent her the post saying how disappointed and disheartened she was. And if you're that client, by the way, and you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this video, message me directly, because my DMs are always open to have these types of conversations with you. If you are curious or questioning or upset about something that I post or say, bring it to me directly, because I'm always happy to have engaged, intelligent conversations where we can both walk away knowing each other's opinions and being informed, right? So, and then she kind of goes on to trash me and say, like, yes, many people believe that you have some key to success, and they don't have the funds to access them otherwise. And so she just basically goes on to say that I'm exploiting people, and the fact that I'm the wealth witch and that I'm exploiting people who aren't properly resourced is dangerous. And this is that very, very liberal viewpoint of, if you're doing something that I don't agree with, you're dangerous. I said it before and I'll say it again. Everything is dangerous these days. And unfortunately, because everything is dangerous, we sometimes miss the things that are actually dangerous. And I just have to say this last part because this is the thing that I thought was so indicative of this very liberal attacking behavior was that she said, she took her comments down because she's not one to attack people on the internet. And she respects my business manager who originally posted the post, and then goes on to say she likely isn't paid enough to be dealing with this anyway. And I'm like, wow, this is somebody that doesn't even know me, you guys. I've never even had a conversation with this woman other than one interaction through Messenger when she was inquiring about whether or not I did one-on-one sessions with people. So she reached out to me asking if I did one-on-one sessions. And then this is the only other interaction that I've had with this woman. So yeah. And she's like, if you ever want to have a genuine conversation about why and how this is harmful, I'll be here. Because she is the expert in this, right? Like she is the superior. She is the woman of superiority and wisdom and knowledge when it comes to what is right and dangerous for my community and for the world, really, right? So this is a bit of a rant, but the purpose is that when we all stop looking outside of ourselves to try to prove our opinions and why our opinions are right, and we just settle into the wisdom and knowledge that if we focus on our own sovereignty and our own highest and best interest on this planet, and we stay in our fucking lane and we do the work that we're here to do in the world, and we let other people do the work that they're here to do in the world, and we stop feeling the need to ride our social justice horse to save every single person on the planet, we actually will be able to save the planet. Because the truth is that we all have these incredible gifts that we're here to share with the world. And it's not up to me to tell you how to share your gift. It is not up to me to tell you how to run your business. Now, if you hire me as a business consultant, then maybe I have the right to come and form an opinion on how you're running your business. But other than that, I need to focus on my own fucking business and on the work that I'm here to do in the world. It blows me away when stuff like this happens. And just like it blows me away when I scroll Facebook and I see all these people engaging in these conversations and, in these fights around Roe versus Wade or BLM or the pandemic or whatever it may be. Because I'm like, how do these people have time to do this? How do these people have time to sit and argue with people on the internet? Go do the work that you're meant to do in the world. Stay in your lane. Stay in your deep, narrow tunnel. Seek the remembrance of that thing, that gift that God gave you to come and share with the world. Humanity needs it right now. We need it more than we ever have. We don't need you fucking pointing fingers at people, trying to cancel people, trying to get people to do things your way. We need you to do things your way. We need you to go and share your message with the world, with your community, with the collective. We kick ourselves out of the tribe enough. We don't need to try to continue to kick each other out of the tribe. And let me tell you something. If you don't like how I run my business, if you don't like the things that I say, unfollow my podcast. Unfollow me on social media. Don't listen. If you don't agree with the work that I'm doing in the world, don't buy my shit. But then also don't come and listen to and take advantage of the free content that I'm putting out in the world either. And more than anything, if you have a problem with something that I've said or something that I've done and you perceive something is wrong, have the ovaries or the cojones to fucking come talk to me about it your damn self. This is what we need to see in the world right now. People fucking taking personal responsibility and accountability for their own thoughts, feelings, actions, opinions, forming those opinions after doing research, informed opinions, not fly off the handle because I fucking read a Facebook thread and now I think I'm an expert on the United States law opinions, but actual informed opinions. The beauty of the human experience is that we are emotionally charged beings. My recommendation to you is if you read something and it charges you emotionally, you get that charge, like that's fucked up, that's wrong, and you want to hop on that social justice horse and ride in to save the people that you believe are being wronged, my recommendation is that you stop, that you get on this thing that we love called the internet, Mr. Google, Dr. Google, that gives us all the misinformation and also some good information. But that you get on there and you actually do the research, that you look at the history of the thing that you're defending, that you figure out why it came into inception in the first place. You then research to see if it's been disproved in any way. You then look at, what the actual law is around that thing. Research, do your research, inform yourself before you start spouting off your opinions. I think that's it. I think my rant is over. I'm feeling better. I feel I've worked through my own personal emotional charge. Because as you know, as I always say, I'm walking hypocrisy, right? I have my midheaven in Gemini. I have the ability to see duality in all things. And by the way, my gene keys, my human design, it is my job and the work that I'm here to do in the world to bring that, to shed light on that for you, to help you see both sides, to continually bring to you the things, to challenge you to think outside the box, to help you deconstruct programming and conditioning that keeps you trapped inside these tiny boxes, only seeing things one way. Like that is my role to do on this planet. That is actually what I'm doing right now. So I have fulfilled my divine mission for the day. And with that, I will end my rant. That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to connect with me on social media and reach out. I love hearing from you. And if you want more of me, real, raw, and uncensored, make sure to join the Wealth Witch Telegram channel. It's my free channel where I share all of my random daily musings as well as the information that I feel like is important and pertinent to my community. We've put a link to the Telegram channel in the show notes, so make sure to come join us over there if that intrigues you. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you are the most powerful creator in your reality. Until next time, this is the Wealth Witch signing off.
Freedom.